In this video, we're going to look at the new interactive displays which IT have been installing in classrooms. These displays replace the now outdated smartboards. So let's start with a look at the basic tools and what they do. Then we'll dive into some more advanced features and even some troubleshooting tips. Here, we've logged into the computer and are currently viewing the desktop. On each side of the screen, you should be able to see an arrow pointing into the screen. These arrows are to open up the side toolbar. So if we just tap one now, we'll see the toolbar open up. It doesn't matter which side of the screen you tap to open the toolbars, they're both the same. Once open, we can see a few icons available. Let's take a minute to highlight each one, then we'll take a look at what they all do. The first one simply closes the toolbar back up. The second icon is the home icon. This takes us to the main home screen for the interactive display and is what you'd see if there was no computer connected to the display. Next, we have the built-in whiteboard that comes pre-installed with the boards. This is not activated though, as it requires a subscription. So when it comes to the whiteboard, we'll show you how to utilize the Microsoft whiteboard and what it can do. Then we have the pen tool. This tool lets you write on top of the screen regardless of what is on the screen at the time. The three-dot menu opens up an additional toolbar with some extra features which we'll look at later on in the video. And finally, we have the input icon. This shows what is connected to the board and which port it is plugged into. As you can see here, we only have one connection, which is the PC, and it is plugged into HDMI port 3. So back to the home button. If we tap it, we can see it takes us to the viewboard home screen. On this screen, we have the various connections listed at the bottom, and here we see the icon showing us that our PC is plugged in via HDMI port 3. If we were to tap this icon, we will go straight to the PC view we were on previously. So this is useful to know if, when you first turn on your board, this screen displays instead of your PC screen. Moving up the screen, we have the Apps and Settings menu. This has some further options available by tapping the down arrow. This menu can be ignored for the most part. There is a link to the settings page, but we'll show you an easier way of getting there later on in the video. For now then, let's close this menu and tap the HDMI 3 icon to return to our PC view. Some of the icons on the side toolbars are also replicated as physical buttons on the front of the display. These include a home button, a back button to allow you to go back through menus, a settings button, more on that in a minute, and a volume down and a volume up button. To the right of these buttons, there are also some USB sockets to add peripheral devices. We won't be using those in this video though. And then on the far left, we have the power button. Now let's return to the settings button and press it to see what options we have. On the settings screen, we have two tabs available, the General tab and the Input tab. For this video, we're only interested in the Input tab. As we can see here, this lists all the options we have for content to display on the screen. The first option is the viewboard, which is the home screen we looked at earlier. Then we have our various inputs, of which only one is active, and that's the HDMI 3 port that has our PC attached. If we look at the viewboard icon, we can see there is a settings icon next to it, and this will take us to the display settings that we saw linked from the menu on the home screen. So let's press this and see what settings we can adjust. Once opened, you can see lots more tabs and settings available, which could be overwhelming at first, but the only tab we need to think about is the Preferences tab. On this tab, there are only two settings we need to look at. Those are the touch and the toolbar settings. If we tap the touch option, we see there are two settings we can adjust. We can turn on or off the touch sounds, which makes a sound whenever you touch the display. I'm going to leave this off for this video. And the Windows ink toggle, which we need to have turned on. We can now go back into the Preferences tab and tap the Toolbar settings icon. These settings relate to the side toolbars we looked at earlier on. And as you can see, we have the option to hide these. This is important to note in case you cannot see these side toolbars. They may be hidden by this setting, so we want to make sure that we have this turned on. We can now come out of these menus and return to our PC input display. Next, we're going to look at the side toolbars in more detail and see what the tools actually do. As mentioned before, we're going to look at Microsoft Whiteboard later on, so we'll skip over the Whiteboard icon and tap on the Pen tool instead. Now, once you open the Pen tool, it actually takes a screenshot and freezes your screen. So just bear in mind that you can't annotate and then move anything on your screen, as it won't display. Therefore, this tool would only really be useful if you needed to quickly annotate something on, say, a web page, for example. You have a basic pen, a highlighter and an eraser available to you. Both the pen and the highlighter allow you to change their colour if you tap on them, but you cannot change the size of them. Once you've finished annotating, you can close the pen tool and you'll be back to a live view of your PC. Now we can take a look at the additional tools available in the 3-dot menu. So open the toolbar and tap the 3 dots and you'll see this extra toolbar appear. In this toolbar there are 4 tools that we're going to look at, the first being the freeze icon. This tool freezes the screen on whatever it is currently displaying. This is really useful if you want your class to concentrate on a topic or question while you work on something else on your PC. Freezing the screen means that you can work without the whole class seeing what is on your screen. They only see what has been frozen on the interactive display. You can zoom and move the display around to focus on one particular area of the screen if needed. To exit the frozen screen, simply tap the X to close the tool. Next up, we have the Spotlight tool. This tool enables you to focus your class's attention on a specific part of the screen by darkening the rest of the screen. You can move the spotlight around and increase and decrease both the size of the spot and also the opacity of the dark area. The third tool is the Stopwatch tool. This displays a basic stopwatch on your screen and allows you to time events. And the final tool we're going to look at in this list is the countdown timer. This displays a countdown which you can set to your own time and even allows you to set a ring for when the time is up. You also have the option to make this timer go full screen if you want. Now it's time to look at Microsoft Whiteboard and what it can do. Whiteboard is part of the Office 365 suite of applications. So if you log into your college account and click the 9 dots in the top left of the page, you should see a link for Whiteboard. Click this and it will open up your Whiteboard homepage. Microsoft Whiteboard is also part of Teams and can be used during meetings. So you will see all of the whiteboards that have been shared with you and all the ones you have created yourself. You can open any of these and continue to add to them. But for this video, I'm going to choose New Whiteboard. This opens up a new blank board for us. Along the top, we can see the pen tools. If we tap on the first pen, we can see it's a normal black pen. If we tap the pen icon again, it opens up the pen settings, where we can change things like the colour, the size of the pen, and also add arrows to our lines. The next 2 pens have the same settings, which essentially allows you to have 3 separate pens that are easily accessible. The next tool along is the highlighter tool. Again, you can customize the size and the colour of the pen, just like the other normal pens. We then have the laser pointer tool. This tool allows you to draw around something temporarily, and after a few seconds, the drawing fades away. You can change the colour of this tool and the size as well. Then we have the eraser tool, which allows you to erase either parts of drawings or whole strokes in one go. Next up is the ruler. This allows you to draw straight lines on the board and includes the ability to measure angles. And finally, we have the lasso tool. This simply allows you to select more than one object at a time. On the left side of the page, we have all the content tools. First up is the notes tool. This adds sticky notes to your board and allows you to add text to them, resize and move them around, and also change their colour. Then we have the text tool, which lets us add text anywhere on the board. This text can then be edited by changing the colour and the size and adding boldness, italics and underlining. The Shapes tool lets you add basic shapes onto the board, resize and recolour them as you like. Reactions allows you to add emoji to the board. This can be useful when sharing the board in a Teams meeting, for example, and you're asking for feedback on certain things. The Images icon allows you to add images from the web or from your computer. These images can be resized and can be annotated on. The annotation will then stay with the image when you move or resize it. The Templates icon lets you choose from several different whiteboard templates, such as brainstorming. There are lots here that I won't go through now, but you can search through in your own time. Documents lets you add documents from your computer onto the whiteboard. When you select your document, you can then choose which pages you want to insert, and only those pages will be added to the board. Once added to the board, each page can be moved and resized individually, and any annotation you add will stay on that page. The final two icons allow you to add links and videos to your board, but I won't go through these now. When you've finished your board, you can tap on the Home icon in the top left of the page, and it will take you back to the Whiteboard home page, where you can actually rename your board so it's easier to find the next time you need it. Because we're using Microsoft Whiteboard, it means that all your boards are stored in the cloud. So if you teach in a different room or even a different campus, you'll be able to access all of your boards from your Office 365 account. And this means you'll be able to access them from home as well. That's it for this video. If you have any problems with the on-year display that aren't covered in this video, please contact IT services at your campus. Thank you.